A beautiful morning to you, Justice lovers. It's another beautiful day, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions, and we'll get into that very shortly. But before that, we have a celebrity guest host amongst us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dashing Usman.
Thank you so much, blessings. You know, I feel like a celebrity indeed.
I know, right? We have that effect on this channel.
Yes, I
very happy
know.
to have you.
Thank you so much, Lola.
Yes.
Okay, so very quickly, I did mention that it's been a roller coaster of emotions, and that's because overnight, we here at News Central have been reporting about the United States elections, and you know, there's been a lot of speculations here and there. But what we can tell you is that Donald Trump is most likely going to be winning the elections, and that's because he has won the several key swing states so far, and he has now won the state of Pennsylvania, and it's 19 electoral college votes as well, according to reports. And he closes in on the presidency, but there's been no official declaration just yet, and we're waiting to see. But, you know, the scales are tilting mostly towards Donald Trump. How do you guys feel about that?
It's just, you know, just like you said, it's just a myriad of emotions. I can't really say what I feel. You know, there's so many policies. It's more about policy for me. Policy, policy, policy. Even though I actually think America needs something different. I didn't really feel a lot about this, about Joe Biden. I didn't really agree or align or see a lot of push from his government. Even though Donald Trump is a controversial character. But I know that policies, a lot of people in business seems to be happy. They believe they're going to get better policies on business. A lot of people are afraid that it's going to tilt towards the wars. You know, there's just...
I think one of the major fears, especially for those outside of the U.S., is the immigration policy.
No, I didn't want to touch it.
No, because, I mean, it's one of the obvious things that people fear, and that's one thing that will trickle down to every single person, because it's going to affect as many people as possible. We know how strict he is when it comes to... Most people would even say he's anti-immigrant.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually one of the things that, you know, he has been focusing on, and it's one of the things that's actually leading when it comes to his campaign. Even though there's a saying that goes, it is not over until it is over. So let's wait and see, because right now, according to reports, Trump is actually leading, but then it's a keenly contested election. So Kamala Harris is, you know, right behind him, because according to reports, he's at 267, while Kamala is at 224. So, you know, let's just wait and see. Anything can happen. Exactly.
Anything can happen.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to wait and see. But do not forget, that is an unconfirmed report. We do not have the complete detail yet on that. And as the announcements are made, of course, News Central is going to keep you up to speed on that. But speaking of news being kept up to speed, we have news reaching us now that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, has passed. The President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has announced the passing of Taoreed Lagbaja, the Chief of the Armed Staff, at age 56. Now, he passed away on Tuesday night in Lagos after a period of illness. Born on the 28th of February 1968, Lagbaja was appointed the Chief of Army Staff on June 19, 2023 by President Bola Tinubu himself. His distinguished military career began when he enrolled in the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1987. Now, he played a pivotal role in numerous internal security operations, which includes Operation Zaki in Benue State, Lafia Dole in Borno State, Udoka in Southeast Nigeria, and Operation Forest Sanity across Kaduna and Niger State. You know, there's been condolences throwing in for Lagbaja's family, and, you know, the president has wished General Lagbaja eternal peace and honors his significant contributions to the nation. This is really a heavy blow, especially to the security sector. We know how influential he was in that sector, and, you know, as much as we complain that government officials, security agencies are not working, we know that, you know, some of these things I just read, some of the operations in different areas, really did
You know, I would actually give him a thumbs up. You know, he actually did so well when it comes to security, because I actually came from the north, and I know how bad insecurity is in the north. You know, not a day goes by when you don't, you know, hear someone has been kidnapped, especially when you're passing through Kogi State. And you know, being from Borno State, being from Borno State, I've actually experienced it. You know. Personally, do you understand what I'm saying? So, but when he came, you know, into power, he was able to, you know, reduce the number of casualties. He was able to arrest so many terrorist kingpins, and it's really, really sad that this had to happen at this particular time. And we just hope that whoever is taking over from him is able to sustain, you know, efforts when it comes to security operations.
We've had a lot of issues security-wise, and I think for the armed staff boss, he's quite young, for 57, so we commiserate with his family. We condole with his family, apologize. We condole with his family, and we just hope that the shoes he has left would find someone adequate to be able to fill it, and very quickly too, because, you know, his passing will probably shake a few table, or you know, the weight of power. Sometimes when somebody just exits, it can cause some kind of chaos, or I'm sure the president is on top of it so that we don't disintegrate so quickly. Less bandits or terrorists take advantage of the fact that the military is mourning and they just unleash carnage.
But you know, the funny thing is, we actually had no idea that he was ill, because there was a lot of, you know, cover-up, you know, going on the sidelines. We're told that he went on leave and all that. People had been asking, how do you just go on leave without, you know, anyone knowing about it? And there have been so many questions.
I think the same thing happened in Oyo State with, you know, with the governor. It took a while before she could actually come and say, okay.
But I do not even understand why we have to keep such things under wraps. Because if he did sustain maybe injury on one of his operations, it should be something that we'll celebrate. It's like, it's like a hero's passing.
So I think that, you know, the fear is that doubt of competence, right? So that maybe people will start panicking. That's number one. And then secondly, they might start doubting his competence. Already, when we see someone old and shaky, we feel like they have health problems.
I'm sorry,
but he is not old.
Yes, so that's Nigerians had actually given up, you know, on, you know, insecurity being totally vanquished. So, you know, the best that they could have done is actually probably pray for him and hope that he gets better.
I agree. Nigerians are great we're great at praying for people. But we just hope that security will continue to be held down, because I do not want to see us disintegrate back into what used to be, because the North was really affected by insecurity. All right, let's just quickly tilt towards, let's quickly tilt and focus on our own country. Though we did land in our country just right now, talking about the passing of the armed chief. Today on the show, we will be taking on the hottest topics from the week. We are opening up our phone lines today to get your contributions. So do call us and talk to us. Let's know what your opinion is. We would love to take it. On Tuesday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ordered for the release of 133 minors that were arraigned to a federal high court in Abuja on treason charges for their involvement in the #Endbadgovernance protest. Yesterday, Prince Lateef Olasunkanmi Fagbemi, Attorney General on behalf of the federal government, discontinued the criminal proceedings and withdrew the case, while Justice Obiora Egwatu terminated all charges on them and set them free. The arrangement was also made to transport the discharged protesters back to their respective states. Now, that was a good move by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even though they shouldn't have been in court in the very first place. Honestly, did you see the videos that came from the court? It was harrowing. It was very emotional. Some of them were fainting. You could see that they hadn't.
And in the midst of that, I think, wasn't it a lawyer that stood and was still saying that some of these children are married, and
that as long as they are, how old was he even saying?
18 and above.
I was like, what is wrong with us in this country? You can obviously see that these boys have been badly treated. You would know that they are probably not being fed well. They looked ill. They were gaunt. You could see them. So it was an emotional moment that the judge was in tears. He left the courtroom.
I think it was mostly a situation of oppression gone wrong, and I understand that, you know, this particular one is the charges against, you know, the actions they took by raising the Russian flag and all. But we also understand that some of the protesters were asking for end bad governance were also charged with treason. And we said it earlier that these treason charges will be dropped. It was just a means of oppression, right? But I feel like they did not see it going to this extent. Maybe they wanted to just bring them, threaten them, and then just, you know...
But was it obvious to all that those were minors?
But do you know how vulnerable, you know, these people are? My people, let me just say that. They're actually quite vulnerable. Most of them are not educated, so they had no idea what they were even doing. It's possible that someone just, you know, came up to them and gave them like a little bit of money and told them, just raise the Russian flag. That is all you have to do, and, you know, and push for the military to take over and all that. And, you know, I think that should have been taken into consideration. Blessings actually talked about how a lawyer student said, you know, some of them are married. In as much as, you know, people in the north get married quickly, but it's mostly the women and not the men. Do you understand? I even heard where someone said that, I'm not sure who, that those who fainted, the boys actually looked malnourished.
Yes,
they looked like they'd not eaten well in days. But someone said those who fainted were pretending. How? You could clearly see that they were hungry and they hadn't eaten and they weren't really taking care of.
Look at them. Just look at someone. In fact, the videos were so gory that even the judge stood up and walked out. How else do you want us to interpret that? I just hope that we don't always have to get to this point. There are some things that humanly you should be able to understand that, oh, these are just children, just trying to get into the milieu of things and just, you know, but they're Nigerians too. And I'm sure they're feeling the weight of the economy and they want to eat, even if they're beggars. The people that are giving them arms, it's reduced drastically.
So if there's anything, I'm even happy that the president weighed in on this and did not, you know, turn a blind eye, because we've seen several times where people would complain, and I like that he did not just order their release, he also ordered the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to make sure that they're well catered to ensure their welfare. And because it's so sad that we have even come to the point where we're saying that whether or not, let's even say they were pretending, they had no business there in the first place.
Exactly. Lots could have actually happened while they were in prison, because how do you take minors to an adult prison and expect them to be okay with it? It's possible that they were probably bullied, you know, they were probably fed, but, you know, the adults bullied them out of eating and everything. So, you know, a lot could have actually gone wrong.
I'm just hoping that we just stop shining a wrong light on us in Nigeria, because before we know it, these are some of the things that Amnesty International can take up and say, oh, we're dehumanizing minors, and we are beginning to hear pockets. We had an issue we dealt with on the show also, where a minor was taken to prison and she's being prosecuted like the landlord. And you're like, why are these kinds of things happening in Nigeria? There are clear laws on how minors should be, you know, arraigned, or if they even have to face justice. There are ways you go about it, but the way we're doing it now, it's like nobody really cares.
So talking about clear laws, the problem, what I have a problem with in all of this that the president has done is that he has now set up another administrative committee.
Committees.
It's always committees. You just
time.
mentioned there are clear laws. There are things that should not happen. Peradventure they happen. I know that there are consequences that have already been previously stated. Why do we need committees every time something happens, as though we're setting precedents? This is not, you know, pre-medieval era where, oh, this crime has never been committed before. We know what should happen when certain things happen. So why is it that every time there's an issue, the next thing you think about is committee? At least this one is even a committee. The last one was a conference. I think they said we'll be having a 3-day conference. I just do not, it beat my imagination, because this is never going to get to a resolution, because before they even set up the committee, it's going to take like 2.5 years. Then when they set up the committee, now they'll now start looking for funding.
But what is the committee supposed to do? Determine the age of people that are criminally charged?
Look into, it's not just generally this particular issue. So the committee is not even just for when it happens again. The committee is to investigate
If this particular issue have already gotten a presidential pardon, or the president has
what's the point?
So what's the point of the committee? Are there still, well, maybe there's still others that has not even come to light that they need to quickly, tie up loose ends.
But I think the only thing that might have to come to light right now, because we all saw the video during the protest, and we saw that there were adults and there were kids. There were minors. So why is it that the adults were not, part of those who were arraigned? Because we didn't see any adults there. We saw minors mostly. Where are the adults?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe there are so many things that has not even been totally concluded. Maybe just this is the one that we're seeing. Maybe there are other things they need to quickly look into before it becomes public.
And then again, let's not forget that time and time again, we've had situations where the president will order something or the court will order something, and then the law enforcement will do something entirely different. We hear that, prosecutions were still supposed to go on despite the president's warning. So we don't even know whether or not they're going to be in defiance of what the president has said. We don't know how soon these children will be released if they have not been released.
Because it doesn't look like they want them
Because
released.
it doesn't look like, and that's one thing we need to spotlight in this country. Is there weight at all in the words of the president? Not even just the president, in authority. When someone says, okay, I command you to release those sorts of person, you start giving reasons why you should not.
We know that even if the president did command or did wade into the matter, of course there are judicial processes to follow. They will still have to tie up everything and do it legally.
That a lot of times we hide behind those judicial process and bottlenecks to make it longer.
Yeah, you talked about judicial process. Now, they were granted bail. How much were they granted? I think, is it 1 million? No, not 1 million. 10 million.
Children.
Yeah, I think 10 million naira per head. I'm not really sure.
Who is going to stand
it all
shorty
amounted
for
to like hundreds of millions of naira for all of them. That's over 500 million naira. Where are they supposed to get the money from? And they're supposed to bring in shorties, and guardians and everything. It's really sad.
It is sad, but Nigeria, for what it is, a lot of things that are supposed to follow a straight trajectory always follow crooked trajectories that you to be able to follow something from beginning till end in this country, sometimes it can be very arduous, and you're like, you just get lost in the middle of all this. But let's just hope, I can only hope and pray that because they've involved the poverty alleviation minister in this particular matter, maybe the ministry will be able to help us champion this matter effectively and see it put to bed the way it should, and let those children be properly rehabilitated.
But have you stopped to imagine what would have happened if Uju Kennedy was still in power? It would have been fire.
Our mommy.
It would have been really
Minister
hot.
of Women
I'm telling you, Minister of
What would she have had to do with this? Are there women?
She would have actually pushed, because they're minors.
That woman was just funny to me, honestly. I just used to look at her and wonder that, okay, do you know what you're doing at all? Everything is always loud, and I'm like, okay, let's see what she can do.
Okay, so we're still talking family matters, but before that, we'd just like to let you know that our phone lines are open. Yay! I know that a lot of people like to call in because we want to hear your thoughts on whichever of the issues that we have addressed and the ones that we'll still discuss. So please feel free to call the numbers, which will be showing on the screen in no time. Now, we're still talking family matters. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, and our national...
I was waiting for this story.
And our National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, are set to spearhead a, wait for it, nationwide prayer initiative to seek divine assistance for the country's economic difficulties, because obviously our issue has, it has gone beyond the physical. Now, in case you have not heard, well, let me break it down for you. Now, Segun Balogun Afolorun Nikan, the Director General of the National Prayer Forum, NPF, announced an upcoming 2024 National Prayer event in Abuja titled Seeking God's Intervention in Nigeria's Affairs. The event, organized with both Christian and Muslim leaders, aims to seek divine support for Nigeria's challenges and instill hope for 2025. Now, the First Lady and the Security Chief will participate in this event, praying specifically for economic and security issues alone. The Muslim participants will convene at the National Mosque for a week, with 313 individuals reciting the Quran, 2,191 times in total. Christians will gather at the National Ecumenical Center, where prayer warriors from various denominations will pray intensively for Nigeria's struggles, so that God will answer.
What did I just hear? Or what did you just read? Honestly, I'm just at loss. Sometimes I actually feel like an alien. I'm an alien in this one. I'm not in New York. I'm in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
And I am just perplexed.
In Nigeria, where everything can be solved with prayer.
Prayers. Are you telling me that the policies that we're making, that are made by economic juggernauts, that are made by financial, intelligent, financial...
It's not working. They need spiritual.
So what would you say is the spiritual angle that we want to put into economic issues?
I can't imagine how many millions will go into this.
Do you know how
project.
many millions will go into this? So the imams, imams that are reciting the Quran, they will be accommodated, they will be fed, they will be... When you hear the huge budget that is going into this, but do we forget in this country that... Let me play the devil's advocate. Do you know that in this country we have other religions aside Muslim and Christian?
Yes, we do.
So why were they sidelined? There should be Obatala people there.
But is that
Osun people?
But is that even? Yeah, I mean, that's,
No.
that's
If
a
you
fight that we
want
can take
equal
on. Yes.
representation, if you want to make this a spiritual matter, then every denomination that exists, even
Has
as
to be
small as
represented.
Ekanka, Buddhist, any kind of religion that we do, they should be represented because it's a national prayer conference. It's not a Christian and Muslim conference. So even if I'm going to say that, then that means that they're even discriminating.
Well, those are the two major religions.
No, it's not about major. Oh, when it comes to pivotal things like prayer.
I buy Lola's idea.
What are you
If
saying?
If it's a spiritual problem, we don't know which answer will come faster. So everybody has to be...
And that is shocking.
If it's done,
Do you
then we
know a
need
lot
it.
of people actually fear traditional gods even more than Christian and Muslim religion?
Very true.
Put
Even
Ahmadiyya here
some
now.
of the main religion fear this because you can swear by anything.
It's actually difficult to understand what is the whole idea
What
behind
does it mean?
Do you
So that's the
understand?
question.
You know, our leaders have actually told us to give them more time, that, you know, in a few years, things will start to pan out. And, you know, we're still hopeful, even though most of us have actually given hope. So what's the point, you know, bringing in prayers? like
There's another song I'm about to...
Faith Evans, yes.
No.
Like, you know, prayers. I think they're actually trying to, you know, they believe that Nigerians...
They are trivializing
They actually
us.
know that Nigerians, you know, believe so much in prayers. Anything that happens is prayers.
It's prayer. Prayers will tar roads.
No, but they must be
prayers will
joking.
tar roads that they have given to contractors.
Exactly. They must be joking if they
Contractors
think
that
that
are
this will
not
sell.
doing their work,
Has it
that
been
are not
confirmed?
supervised.
What has
So
been
we will go to some
Plans
roads.
are underway. What are you saying?
Plans are underway already. What are we even saying? If we could sell Ashwebi for October 1st celebration. So National Prayer Conference is already on the go. If the country can be supporting pilgrimage with subsidies, millions of naira and trillions of naira for subsidy to subsidize your own religious, personal religious, what do they even call it? You want to go on pilgrimage. It's your own personal religious journey.
Project.
But they are already doing that to support them. So what happens to putting some of this money in education? ASU has been threatening. SANU and what's the other one? NASU just called off their strike. We have issues in the health sector. We have issues in the health sector. There is no food in the country. Food is still...
Power grid keeps collapsing.
Oh, power grid collapsed on me yesterday. I can't even believe that I'm alive and
So
well.
I think the prayers will solve, I mean...
So would you just go to where the power grid is and just pray there that the God... Now, you see when I told you we needed someone. Is Shango? No, we should be calling. Because Shango is the one that controls thunder and weather and all those things. So that it can strike and our turbines can work. It's ridiculous. This country is like watching comedy. It's like watching comedy. and you're like, okay, everybody will just take this story now. All of us will just look pretty on the table and like, National Prayer Conference. Are they even going to televise it? So every prayer warriors from every denomination.
All right, ladies, let's take a breather. We'll go on a short break. In no time, we'll be joining the ongoing coverage of the Africa Energy Week that's going on in South Africa. But before that, we'll go on a short break, and then we'll come back, hopefully with more stories before we join SA. Welcome back to the show. You're still live with us on Jasiri, and we've been discussing very, very pivotal issues, especially, you know, the prayer that we're about to embark on, the prayer conference that we're about to embark on. But don't forget, it's Jasiri on News Central. Our phone lines are open for you to call in. We're taking hot topics today, and our next topic is one of the hottest stories of the week, and it's still trending as we speak, all the way from Equatorial Guinea. If you don't know what I'm talking about by now, it's probably you're living under a rock. Now, Baltasar Ebang Egonga, the Director General of Equatorial Guinea's National Financial Investigation Agency, ANIF, recently became the center of a major scandal after leaked videos allegedly showed him in explicit encounters with multiple women. And by multiple, I mean reportedly over 400, including the wives of high-ranking officials, his younger brother's wife, his pastor's wife, and the list goes on. Now, the videos were uncovered during a fraud investigation, revealing, like I said, over 400 tapes from his home and his office. Now, these videos were made with all 400 women's consent, including his own brother's wife.
Wow. It's still a wow for me. Honestly, following the scandal involving Baltasar Egonga, the government of Equatorial Guinea took significant steps to address the situation and prevent further incidents, of course, beginning with the arrest of Egonga and suspending officials implicated in the sex tape scandal. The government also implemented a ban on WhatsApp, citing concerns over the spread of sensitive content, including the viral circulation of Egonga's tapes. This decision has sparked controversy as critics argue that it infringes on the privacy and freedom of expression. Now, a lot of celebrities and public figures, astonished by the revelation, took to their socials to share their opinions over this very, very wild and steamy, honestly.
Why is Lola so excited?
No, it's unbelievable.
You know when they say something is awesome.
Awesome.
Well, one of the ingenious, solutions to this, as if it will stop anything, is that, the Vice President, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mange, has also announced the installation of surveillance cameras in all government offices, since, a lot of the deed was actually done in his office. And this measure is intended to enforce ethical behavior among officials and also to restore public trust in the government.
What public trust?
Okay, so we have reactions to that, but I want to hear the ladies. Lola has been laughing and smiling.
Honestly, I would not lie to you. I'm very afraid for the world that we live in presently. The fact that morality has gone into the mud, as in there is nothing like when you say somebody has good moral values. And Africans, we used to pride ourselves in the fact that we had high moral standards, but we do not have those kinds of things to hold on to again in Africa. And the fact that a lot of our leaders are power drunk. I know the fact that he was holding a very sensitive position in his country, and yet he was able to do this kind of things under the radar.
But would you be surprised if, I told you that he might likely get a slap on the wrist?
Of course, this thing is going to pass.
So I have a very counter, because my thing is, I'm heavy on the infringement of his privacy and the fact that he did not coerce any of those women. So, unfortunately, we cannot have this discussion extensively for today.
Friday.
So we're going to have to move it again. But don't worry, we're bringing this particular story to you again, and we'll have to talk about it and, of course, get your reactions to that. But right about now, the annual African Energy Week, which kicked off on the 4th of November in Cape Town, South Africa, is still ongoing. We have our correspondents there who will be giving us more updates. As as of yesterday, we had some of the speakers like Osienso Ramahoba, the National Assembly member, Benedict Orama, the President, African Export-Import Bank, speaking. And today, the summit is still on. So we are going to join them live in South Africa now so we can bring you the live updates from that.